Come on, Bitcoin. Break that trend line. We are tired of not being able to spend our money. I want to shave my beard. Rand shaved his beard. Can we finally get over and done with the damn
break the trend line? Come on, Bitcoin. Break the trend line. Come on, Bitcoin. You can do this. You can do it. You can do it. Break the trend line.
Break it, baby.
Hashtag break that trend line and break the trend line now, because we are at 39,000. We are hovering at 39,000. And there are a whole lot of reasons, both on the technicals and the fundamentals, why this may actually be a sustained pump. Not only that, the pump may actually be led by certain altcoins. And I think we found some of those narratives. So today, we're going to look at the narratives and we're going to watch Bitcoin break the trend line right here, live on Crypto Banter. Good morning. Get out of bed, get out of bed. And it's a good day to be getting out of bed because Bitcoin is about to break. And you know what? It's also a very good day for James to plug in my laptop because I don't have power coming to my laptop, James. Jimmy, I gave him one job, and the job was make sure that my laptop gets power. And I don't have any power going to my laptop. Hopefully my laptop will last this. Anyway, today there are a lot of good reasons to get out of bed. And that is because Bitcoin is really about to break this trend line. And there are good reasons, both technically and fundamentally, why Bitcoin may actually continue on this run. And that could mean that we've actually bottomed. It could mean that we've actually bottomed. That is what we're going to be talking about today. That's what we're going to be talking about today, just as soon as I plug in my laptop. Thanks, Jimmy. Jimmy, you should put this on your list, bro. Like every day.
Your to-do list.
I have power. I'm back. I have power in my laptop. Or at least I believe I have power to my laptop. Do I have power to my laptop? I should have power to the laptop. Okay, so we're going to talk about that. If you're new to our channel, welcome to the Banter fam. I'm Crypto Man Run. That over there is Sheldon Tantino, broadcasting from the sun.
It's what is it called?
Are you broadcasting from the sun? Are you broadcasting from the sun? I mean, where are you?
I am. It actually looks quite crazy. I'm in the apartment, but everything's like.
It looks amazing.
Very bright. It actually does look pretty cool.
It looks amazing. It looks amazing. It looks really, really bright. You look really bright. So, we're going to talk about the fundamentals and the technicals today because both of them are actually pointing to a swift recovery. They're both pointing to a swift recovery. In fact, maybe as we start, let's quickly look at the charts. What are you seeing on the Bitcoin chart?
Brother, is it not about damn time? It's been like 3 months of like literally, slow gradual torture. So this is a good sign. It's obviously the downward trend coming from the all-time high of the 69K, and we've been in this now for the last, 60 days, 90 days. And now we're finally getting to that point where we're starting to, show a little bit of strength now. We're looking to break the trend, which is good. We do want to reclaim the higher high at this point. So, a break of this is where I'm starting to see a little bit of more volatility coming into the markets. And why, I'm sort of thinking that this is working out really well and why this trend line is so important is because why would this be breaking?
The dominance also broke.
Exactly. So why would this be breaking? Especially where we are right now, where Bitcoin can have the breakout. Like, as soon as Bitcoin gets to these levels, like ours go straight back into alt. So the fact that we got momentum lost in the dominance, and we have Bitcoin at such a critical level, it's just another nice little key thing because, we remember the last time that Bitcoin lost its trend to the upward side was when, we had Bitcoin have its little recover from the little bottom. But as soon as we broke that, we started to get the whole total and the total too. And we started to get the whole market to erupt and not just Bitcoin. So I'm happy that we are at that point. I think we can still agree upon each other that, the days of a 50-60% dominance are no longer there. I think in this next leg, I think we're going to hit in the 30% wise. So I think now, you know what I mean? Like you said, those more great fundamental alts. It's going to be less coins, I think, but I think there's going to be a lot more bigger runs with quality tokens.
So the dominance is breaking. The dominance is breaking to downside, and that's because it's actually altcoins that are leading this recovery. And I'm going to talk about the altcoins that are leading this recovery because it's not every altcoin. It's altcoins that are on a certain narrative. So first thing I want to do today is I want to look at the fundamental signs that are backing this technical recovery that we're seeing, on this price recovery that we're seeing. Let's look at what this is all about. Then let's talk about the altcoin narratives that are driving this recovery. Let's do some charts on altcoins. Let's just have a show together, bro.
Let's have fun, brother. Let's do it. Come on, Bitcoin's going to break that trend, baby.
Keep watching the trend. Keep watching the trend. I'm gonna watch you. I'm gonna watch you in the background. If it breaks the trend, let me know, and I'll bring you back on the stream immediately.
You see me running up and down with my shirt off and dancing, then you know.
No. I prefer not to see that. I don't think anybody needs to see that. Alrighty, let's get to it. And if you're new to our channel, welcome. Subscribe to the channel. Like this video. Like this video. Let's say this. I'm gonna give away double the number of prizes today. Double the number of prizes, but only if we get to 5,000 bucks. And I'm going to do it in the comments. I'm going to just go crazy in the comments. Comments, live comments, not live comments. I'm going to give away crazy prizes. So smash the like button, subscribe to our channel, because billionaires are made in the bear markets, not in the bull markets. And if you're here today, congratulate yourself for being here, because these people are the ones that are going to make money in the markets, not the people that come here as the tourists when they're looking for the local highs, because that's not how you play this game. Let's get to the Bitcoin price and why the Bitcoin price is doing. Oh, hold on a second. I see Freddie's just dropped something. Oh, okay. So if you haven't seen the Crypto Banter website, get the Crypto Banter website. We've introduced a new feature, which I love. Did they have the guts to put that tweet in today? Did they actually put that tweet in?
They did. I hope so. Actually.
Let's see if they put that tweet in. So we've got the 5 best tweet threads of the day that are driving the biggest narratives. You should go and check this out. This is one that we are going to be talking about today. Really what we've done is we've got a research team around the whole world, and the research team effectively is looking for the best tweets that are driving narratives around the world. And one of the tweets that we're talking about today is whether this market has recovered. We're going to actually talk about this tweet in quite a bit of depth today. We're going to talk about this tweet as well, which is around NFTs, and we're going to talk about OpenSea versus a OpenSea killer, which we may be introducing you to on the show today. This is pretty much my life story. Because every time I bought an NFT, the NFT's gone to zero. Every NFT that I've missed has exploded. So I'm starting to think that it might actually be me. I don't know. It might be me. Phantom, let's talk about Phantom. This tweet I'm going to talk to you guys a lot about today, because I think that the data is actually in what you don't see in the tweet. So that's another one. And they didn't put that tweet in. You can tell Fred that I said he's a chicken shit. Just tell Fred he's a chicken shit. In fact, I'm going to go and tell Fred that he's a chicken shit. Hold on a second. I'm going to tell Fred. You didn't put the BitBoy tweet in the tweet of the day. You're a chicken shit.
Sorry.
Put it in the tweet of the day.
Okay,
put it in. By the end of the show, we want to see the BitBoy tweet in the tweet of the day. Fred is a chicken shit. Fred is a chicken shit. That's all I can say. I can say that Fred is an absolute chicken shit. He should have put that tweet in. There's a tweet that he should have put in about the BitBoy NFTs. He should have put it in because it is one of the funniest tweets of the day. It's coming. Okay, so by the end of the show, that'll be there. The other thing that was here today, which I hope you guys didn't miss, is my alt season summary. And then this article is super important. The reason why this summary is super important is because with this Wonderland, I mean, probably the best word here is to call this thing a Wonderland fuck up. With this whole Wonderland fuck up, this whole Wonderland time FUD, which broke last week, and you'll remember that Sifu was exposed, and then they had the vote as to whether they should remove Sifu, and they removed Sifu. And then they said, okay, well, should we actually keep Wonderland going? And, well, guess what? There was another vote, and the results were to actually keep Wonderland going. But then Daniel Sester was like, maybe talking about abandoning the Wonderland project. And maybe it's time for a new hero. Maybe it's time for Harry to take it over. And it is something that I had a chat to Harry about. And Harry's actually talking about taking over Wonderland. He is talking about taking over Wonderland. So I wonder if, I tweeted about this, and the results were 70% of people said that Harry should take over Wonderland. So I wonder if they should actually do this. So that's another one of these articles. Have a look at the article, maybe retweet the article. Maybe we can get Daniel Sester's attention to get him, and maybe we can kind of like make an impact on the future of Wonderland and the future of time. I mean, that's another one of those things that we can maybe get involved in. All right, let's go. Let's talk about the Bitcoin price, why the Bitcoin price is running. Well, right now we're at 38,915. Sheldon is not running without a shirt on. In fact, he's not even watching the Bitcoin price. I don't know what he thinks he's doing. And the reason why this is happening is because we've actually had 3 amazing days in a row on the NASDAQ. So if you look at the NASDAQ chart, this is the chart that is actually driving the Bitcoin price at the moment. Because what the market said is, the market said that Bitcoin is actually priced like a tech stock. And if you look at tech stocks over the last couple of days, we've had a couple of pumps. We had a huge pump on Friday. You can see that took us up to here. Then we had a pump yesterday on Monday. And bang, we are now, I mean, I'm not going to call it a pump, but we are 76 points up on the NASDAQ. And the question is, well, why is this happening? Why is the NASDAQ all of a sudden recovering? The market is pricing Bitcoin as a tech stock. The market is pricing Bitcoin as a tech stock, and Bitcoin has been very, very, very closely aligned to the NASDAQ. And whereas the NASDAQ had a brutal beginning of year, you look at the NASDAQ's beginning of year, the NASDAQ from the top was down about 19% from the top. And if you look at it this year, probably about 18 or 17%. So it's one of the most brutal opening sessions or opening years for the NASDAQ, or one of the most brutal Januaries that the NASDAQ's ever seen. And therefore that filtered into Bitcoin because the market is pricing all risk the same. And they're kind of saying, look, when you're talking about the high growth stocks, those are priced risky. And Bitcoin is being priced exactly the same as that. But remember that the market oscillates between overbought and oversold. And I think that a 20% recovery for one of the biggest tech indices in the world, if not the biggest tech index in the world, is a little bit of a big recovery, even for an index that ran so much in the last couple of years, specifically in the last 2 years. And so I think that the NASDAQ probably entered into oversold territory, and now the market is starting to get rational about what's going on. And I think Suzu summarized this in a tweet which he got from Sentiment Trader. He said, sometimes it's just this simple, shakeout before breakout. And that comes off the back of a tweet from Sentiment Trader. And it says the NASDAQ composite rallied 3% back-to-back following at least, the NASDAQ composite rallied at least 3% on back-to-back days following at least a 6-month low. It only happened 5 other times, 4 of which marked the bottom. It averaged a 47% a year later. It averaged a return of 47% a year later. So it's kind of like shakeout. And after the shakeout's finished, we're ready for the breakout. And that's exactly the sentiment that we want to see. What we want to see, though, is we want to see the sentiment continuing. We want to see this sentiment continuing. Man says he puts his customer on hold to watch the show. That's good, bro. That's good. Okay, so it is the shakeout before the breakout, baby. And this is an important tweet, because remember that the reason why markets have contracted so much is because markets are concerned about the Fed. And they're concerned that the Fed may actually increase interest rates, which is the big narrative or the big concern right now. Everybody's worried that the Fed is going to start increasing interest rates because inflation is so high, because inflation is at around 7%. And people have made out as if an increase in interest rates by the Fed is actually the end of the world. If we get an increase in interest rates, we're going to, I see Sheldon running with a shirt on, hold on. No, not yet, false alarm. Okay, so they're worried that the Fed is going to increase its rates because of the inflation rate. The Fed has to actually slow down the economy because the inflation rate is getting so high. We're talking about numbers of around 7%, which is almost unprecedented. We're going back 30, 40, 50 years since the last time that inflation was at 7%. But does this mean the end of the world? Does this mean the end of growth? Does this mean that markets are going to stop growing because the Fed is going to increase interest rates from practically zero to, 0.25? Is that the end of the world? What do you think? End of the world? Obviously not. Obviously not the end of the world. So I found this tweet, which is a good tweet by someone who I really follow. His name is Charlie Bilello. He says, has there ever been a 20% bear market in advance of the first Fed rate hike in a cycle? And pretty much this has never happened in recent history. December 15 hike, 6 more hikes, bull peak in September 18, June 04. This has never happened in recent history. The point is not to say that the same thing will not happen today. It won't, because this time it's different. But one should try to open to and be prepared for multiple possible outcomes, including one in which the market rallies back to new highs despite rate hikes. A single rate hike off a base of 0% in itself is not bearish, just as it wasn't in December 2015. It's still incredibly easy money at 4 hikes. A much worse scenario than normalization is one in which the Fed cannot hike rates because of economic weakness. January 3rd, 2001, Fed cuts rates 50 basis points. S&P closes at 1347. S&P declines 43% from there to its October 2002 low, while the Fed cuts rates down the whole way down. In September 2017, the Fed cut rates 50 basis points. The S&P closes at 1519. S&P declines 56% to its low in March 2009, while the Fed cuts rates all the way down. And he basically shows the charts of the Fed cutting rates and the market continuing to move down. I don't know how many times the Fed will increase rates this year, but I know that if you're bullish, you should want to see them hiking, not pausing or cutting rates. For if they cannot hike 100 basis points with an unemployment rate of 3.9% and inflation of 7%, it means that there are much bigger problems. This is a very, very, very interesting take. This is a very interesting take, because what he's saying is that the Fed can feel confident to use interest rate hikes in markets that are extremely healthy. And the Fed uses interest rate cuts in markets that are unhealthy. And he's saying the fact that the Fed feels comfortable to start raising rates when right now, when employment is at 3.9%, unemployment is at 3.9%, and I see people screaming in the comments that we are at 39,000. We are not at 39,000. Everyone calm down. So the fact that the Fed can feel confident to cut rates when unemployment is at 3.9% and inflation is at 7% does mean that the Fed is comfortable that the economy is ticking very well and can take care of itself. And if you look traditionally, when the Fed has cut rates, the markets have continued to increase. I showed that chart to you guys the other day. So it does mean that maybe the market has overreacted. Maybe the fact that the market, for the first time ever, has reacted with a 20% bear market cycle in advance of the first Fed rate hike, starting from a zero base in an environment where inflation is at inflation at 7%, unemployment at 3.9%. Then maybe the market has overreacted, and that's exactly what we're seeing now. It seems like the market overreacted, and it seems like we're seeing some kind of recovery, and maybe we saw the shakeout before the breakout. And there's a few people sharing the same sentiment. Ian McMillan, who's a CMT, because if you are a CMT, you've got to write CMT in your Twitter handle, because if you don't write CMT, no one will know you're a CMT. But it says S&P futures are trying to turn the corner. You see, like it's almost like the bottom has happened and the futures are trying to turn the corner. Then you've got Bo, who says, is the 2022 taper tantrum over? This is quite an interesting chart, because what he says is, let's compare this to the 2018 taper tantrum. So in 2018, we also had a taper tantrum. Now we're having a taper tantrum. So let's read what he says about the two taper tantrums, and you can see that the pattern looks very much the same. See, it says, did we wash out all the sellers? Price was driven low enough, sentiment titled enough to bring in huge demand. 2018 had a 96.4, what's UVOL? UVOL. I guess I've got to do something to wash up out of the hole. Today is just 81. Tomorrow should bring another if this is real. So in other words, I think what he's saying is we've started to go up, and if this continues, if this upward trend continues, then this recovery actually could be real. we've had 2 good days in a row. If we could have 1 or 2 more good days, then we could see the recovery. Super important to remember. The market looks forward. Okay, the market looks forward. Markets are a forward-looking mechanism. Markets don't look at what's happening in the market today. Markets are anticipating what is going to happen going forward. And right now, I think we all agree that markets have priced in an interest rate hike in March. The reason why we could get an interest rate hike is because the economy is healthy. If the economy wasn't healthy, then we probably couldn't expect an interest rate hike. Okay, it's a paradigm shift. The economy is so healthy that it is overheating. It is overheating, and that is why we're getting inflation. And Jerome Powell feels comfortable to increase rates in this environment without crippling the economy. The markets are looking forward. The markets have priced in an interest rate recovery. The interest rate increase is already priced in. The market has definitely priced in a 25 basis points, 0.25% interest rate increase in the month of March. But there are 2 surprise scenarios that can happen. So what we want to do is we want to look at the 2 surprise scenarios that can happen. Because what we know for sure is that the market has already priced in 1 interest rate hike. Now, let's see what happens with the 2 surprise scenarios that could happen. We've got to prepare ourselves for what these surprise scenarios are. So the first surprise scenario that can happen is a double hike in March. The market is yet to price in a 50 basis point price in March. If it does this, it would be bearish for risk appetite and equities would sell off hard. That scenario currently has a 12.4% probability of happening. Remember that last week, the same event had a 6% probability of happening. So more and more, the market is warming up the idea of possibly a 50% rate hike. The other scenario that might happen is the Fed do not hike rates in March. If that happened, that would cause a major risk on appetite. So ultimately, what he says is the market looks forward. By the time the news has hit the media outlets, the information hits the majority of retail traders, it's too late. We need to get the information first. So let's start thinking about what could happen in March. We think that there is a 25% basis point rise, but we're going to prepare ourselves for either no Fed rate hike or a 50 basis point hike, which is 0.5%. The time to be bearish was when there were rumors of Biden's EO and crypto regulation. The time to be bearish was the January FOMC. The time to be bearish is not at support, but at resistance. I'm not saying that Bitcoin and TradeFi markets won't fall any lower from current levels. I'm simply implying that the market is becoming content with the idea of with a tighter monetary policy in 2022. And so the market is ultimately saying, you know what, we've accepted this. There's a 12.4% chance that there's going to be a 50 basis point rise. There's an 86% chance that there's going to be a 25% basis point rise. Let's get on with the show. Let's just get on with the markets. Let's just keep on keeping on. That is what's going on there out there right now. And I mean, if you want to put this all into perspective, let me put this all into perspective for you. Well, let Matty Greenspan put this all into perspective for you. That's where we are. That's where QE began. And that's where we are today. And that little correction that you see is the correction that we've had from the top. That's pretty much it. I know it sounds absolutely crazy. There are people that are thinking that we could get to 50,000 now. This is the recovery to 50,000. Burb is one of them. I did try and get him on today. Maybe we'll just try and get him on tomorrow. We should tell Fred to get him on tomorrow. Yeah, I should tell Fred. But first he must put the tweet up. He must put the tweet up. Hold on a second. Let me go see if the tweet's up. Fred, is the tweet up? Is it up? Okay. Fred said the tweet's up. Fred says the tweet's up. We should check this out because Fred actually says the tweet's actually up. I hope he's not lying to us. Let's check. If you guys are at home, go and check if Fred actually put the tweet up because he says it might not reflect on mine because of the cache. Let's see. Let's quickly just refresh the page. Let's see if you had the balls to put up the tweet. I don't see it. I don't see it. I mean, tell us at home if you guys see it. Maybe because of this cash thing. I don't know, the cash. Because of the cash. Because we don't have any cash. Okay, so ultimately, I think that another reason why the markets are completely overreacting is because of this. So this is the reason why I think the markets are completely overreacting. Because it doesn't really matter the Fed's policy in the short term, and specifically in the next 3 months, maybe 6 months, and maybe even 9 months, doesn't really affect the price of crypto, or shouldn't really affect the price of crypto. Because ultimately, when we're dealing in crypto, we're dealing with a technology which is going to change the world, which is already changing the world, which is revolutionizing the world. We're dealing with technology that is changing payments. We're dealing with things like NFTs. We're dealing with so many other things. I don't see why a 2 or 3 month change in the Fed policy should make such a big difference to pricing. I understand the risk on, risk off appetite thing. But what I don't understand is, and I think it goes to what this unpopular opinion thread says from King Julian I am. Do I follow King Julian? I should follow the guy. He says, rate hikes and US policies don't really matter for the crypto space. Short-term price can be affected the same way that it was in the China ban, but ultimately crypto was made for worldwide adoption and precisely to take power away from organizations that hurt the lower class and governments. Stablecoin said it best. He doesn't care about US policy because there are hundreds of other countries out there that need crypto products as much or even more. Ultimately, adoption will come from places that need solutions, not only from places that are just speculating. Countries will make a leap from bankless to wallets. A huge reason is the IMF. This is a huge reason why the IMF is so scared of El Salvador experimenting, the El Salvador experiment working out. DeFi could not grow in developing nations and just flatten anything left in first world countries. So sure, as a day trader, the reaction of the Fed and US policy can affect long-term price, but long-term those decisions won't matter and could ultimately come to hurt anyone opposed to innovation. You want to be on the side of innovation. That's the tweet. That tweet pretty much sums it up. Yes, the Fed can change rates, but ultimately this game is about technology that is being adopted every single day faster than any other technology in the world. We've never seen technology spread as quickly or grow as quickly as crypto and Bitcoin technology or blockchain technology. And what I want to show you here is that whereas the Fed may be increasing rates, and this is maybe affecting the price of, say, Ethereum, ultimately, the American Express CEO says we are looking for ways to get involved with NFTs. And Alex Becker says every CEO and every major company has expressed major interest in NFTs and metaverse. NFTs are dominated by ETH. Metaverse at the moment is most limited to NFTs. Again, all on ETH. Do you really think the coin they land grab will be Bitcoin? It will be ETH. Bitcoin will flip. I think I agree with him on that. At the same time, though, Bitcoin is fighting back because Visa says that crypto-linked credit cards usage hit 2.5 billion in the first quarter. In the first quarter, $2.5 billion worth of payments done on the Visa network using crypto. So it doesn't really matter whether the Fed is going to increase rates by 0.25. You've got to zoom out and you've got to start seeing the big picture. You've got to start seeing things like this. Today, India legally recognized crypto. Now, remember, crypto wasn't banned in India, but people were very scared that crypto would be banned in India. Now, India is a massive, massive, massive country with over 1 billion people. India is a very, very, very special case for crypto because it is the one country where they can develop. They have a huge development and engineering culture. India has amongst the best developers and the best engineers in the entire world. And it is the one country where the people who are building solutions actually understand what these solutions need to be built for. In the States, when developers are building blockchain solutions for the world, usually those developers have never been outside of the United States. Very few of them have experienced countries like South Africa, like India, like Brazil, like Argentina. They read about it in the press, and maybe they've gone on a 2-week visit and maybe a 1-week immersion. But how many of them have actually lived it? How many of them actually grew up in a township or in a slum and were unbanked and really experienced the problems of being unbanked? Okay? And so India is one of the biggest potential markets for crypto, not only from an adoption point of view, where I think they are going to be prime for adoption, but also from a development point of view. And if you're getting a combination of possibly some of the smartest people in the world, smartest engineers in the world today, and a combination of people who really understand the landscape in which blockchain needs to operate, and what is required from blockchain for blockchain adoption, then you may be onto something really special. And India today legally recognized crypto. Balaji tweeted this, says, India is legalizing crypto assets. I'm not sure that they legalized it because they weren't really illegal. There's a significant fine print around it, especially around tax, but overall it's a win. So hold on a second. When you talk about fine print around it, let's listen to the announcement.
Scheme for taxation of virtual digital assets. There has been a phenomenal increase in transaction in virtual digital assets. The magnitude and frequency of these transactions have made it imperative to provide for a specific tax regime. Accordingly, for the taxation of virtual digital assets, I propose to provide that any income from transfer of any virtual digital asset shall be taxed at the rate of 30%, 30%. No deduction in respect of any expenditure or allowance shall be allowed while computing such income except cost of acquisition. Further, loss from transfer of virtual digital asset cannot be set off against any other income. Further, in order to capture the transaction details, I also propose to provide for TDS on payment made in relation to transfer of virtual.
Okay, so in nutshell is they are saying that they're going to start taxing crypto at a rate of 30%, which for some people may sound like a lot, depending on where you're living. We're living in South Africa or we're living in the United States. And if you're doing that anyway, the United States has very similar taxations on crypto. If you move your crypto from wallet to wallet, that's considered a sale. And every time you do that, you pay, not only do you pay state tax, but you also pay federal tax. So you are paying capital gains tax or income tax, depending on how long you hold the asset. So the 30%, where it does sound a little bit scary, isn't as scary as it actually sounds. Think about it. It just means that you're going to be taxed 30% on your crypto profits, which is the same as possibly many other places in the world. Yes, of course, there are the zero tax zones and the Bahamas and wherever else. But ultimately, if you're living on an onshore jurisdiction, you're probably paying about that much tax anyway. Maybe India is charging a little bit more tax, but they are introducing possibly 1 billion people into crypto. We saw this as soon as this announcement came out. It got me thinking of which tokens you should be looking at if you believe that crypto will start spreading into India or being more free in India. And ultimately, I saw two winners, but I see that they've already run. The first one is WazirX, which is, I think, the biggest exchange in India. It's currently owned by Binance, but they've got a token. You can have a look at the token. Generally, I say don't buy just after a pump. This is a buy the rumor, sell the news event. The news is out there. The markets have run. WazirX is up 28.4%. Another one which is up today is, in fact, let's look at it. It's Chingari. So Chingari is like, they call it the Indian version of TikTok, but it's an NFT-driven platform. It's a platform which allows NFTs. Up 59 cents, up to 59 cents, 27.5% today. This is an interesting one. I'll tell you why it's an interesting one. This token had its IDO at a price of 40 cents. So the IDO investors in Chingari paid 40 cents for the IDO, at the IDO. The price then came down to under 40 cents. And I think if I look here, the lows are about 26 or 27 cents. And now the price is recovering to about 59 cents. So you're paying about 50% more than the original IDO investors. Look, it's probably a reasonable play. I think I'd probably wait a day or two and let things calm down. After this little recovery because of the news today. And then what I would do is I'd maybe start looking at things like Chingari and WazirX, because I don't think the market is pricing in the magnitude or the power of 1 billion people coming into crypto from India. All right, let's see if we can get Sheldino Tentino back, because for the next segment I actually need him. And I see he's not running around without a shirt on.
Yo, brother. I'm waiting patiently.
What are you waiting patiently for? Have we still not crossed the line?
To moon. No, it's just hovering. It's just tickling. You know, the tip is just we just keep hitting the tip the whole time. Just touching. So I'm waiting patiently.
You know that's how it starts. You know that's how it starts. It starts off with just a
little bit of foreplay, a little bit of that, and then yeah. I get you.
Yeah. So Tintino, I noticed this tweet. This tweet says something quite interesting. It says, I noticed that most altcoins can be classified into two patterns. There are some altcoins that are waiting for Bitcoin to break out. Yeah, there are. There are some altcoins that are waiting for Bitcoin to break out. But then there are some altcoins that are already turning bullish, and they don't really care about Bitcoin. And then I woke up this morning, and there was a little bit of a fishy smell around. And I noticed that Solana was up 8.38% on the day. 8.38% on the day.
I don't even want to talk about that one. Like, I literally lost. It was that one day, and then since that, ETH has outperformed Solana. Now, like, I literally lost on the 1st of January, and ever since then.
A bet. You lost a bet. Anyway, let's look at the Solana chart. There are a few charts that I want to talk about today. First one that I want to talk about is Solana. Let's talk about why Solana may be doing so well. I want to show you guys why Solana may actually be leading some kind of recovery.
Yeah, so Solana obviously went, like, it had a really strong pullback. Like, if we have a look, obviously, from the highs, everyone may think it may have been, their problems or these sort of things. But end of the day, Solana came through all the way from $20, rallied all the way to $250. And this is what retracements actually look like on these sort of things. So I think it's just another little lesson for everyone that, when you see something rallying strong, be patient for it, come back. And now investors should be actually absolutely drooling on where we're sitting with Solana prices right now. So one thing I didn't like about them is that we came all the way back and filled this nice little balance area. We formed a little flag, and now we've broken out. And what I like about this is the next resistances are still quite far away. Like, the next levels, is 130 from that 150. So, like, now there's no real levels that are because usually they're putting sell walls at where these resistances are. And now, we're at that point where, even just a normal retracement from this, like, I'm looking at a really strong recovery from Solana, and one coin that does it very quickly is Solana. So it's looking good. I'm thinking, yeah, go for it.
Let's look at the fundamentals that are driving Solana, why Solana is actually doing that, and then we'll bring you back and we'll look at some more charts. There's a whole lot of charts I want to look at today. So the first, I guess we first need to look at the fundamentals and why Solana is recovering this quickly. I think it is recovering very quickly, but remember that it also went up very quickly, because that was what 2021 was about. 2021 was a year where the bees flew from narrative to narrative and overinflated the price. So you got these retail investors primarily, which moved with the sentiment. So instead of looking forward, what these retail investors did was they kept buying, they kept flying as a bunch of bees flying around. Bzzz, and they used to fly from protocol to protocol, exploding the protocol's ecosystem. Now, it was a little bit of a con, if you want to call it that, because think about what actually happens. You're getting the protocol going up in value. So let's say Solana goes up in value. Now, Solana has a whole lot of tokens which are dedicated to a developer's fund. As retail comes to Solana, they drive up the price of the token. As the price of the token starts to go up, it means that they can make more grants to the ecosystem and develop the ecosystem because the price goes up. And then the bees used to invest in the ecosystem that used to be around it. So it's almost like the more the bees flew to something, the more money it created. The more money it created, the more money it created. And it almost sounds like a pyramid. Almost sounds like a bad word for it is a Ponzi, but it's not actually a Ponzi. And then what they'd do is they'd leave. But by that time, Solana had already expended the money and invested in this whole Solana ecosystem, which is now an amazing ecosystem. Then the bees go to Avalanche, they pump up the Avalanche price. Avalanche all of a sudden has a lot of tokens to give out to projects. Then they use that money to develop the ecosystem, and then the bees fly to Phantom, and the same thing happens to Phantom, and the same thing happens to Near. And that's exactly what it is. So now, let's look at why Solana got hit so hard. Solana got hit so hard because it kept suffering these DDoS attacks, and also because the narrative just died. And the bees left Solana and went to Avalanche and then went to Phantom and then went to Luna. But now a few things have happened in Solana. In the back end, Solana has been building. All the money that they started to invest in all these projects is now starting to show some results. So let's look at some of what we're seeing here in Solana. The current market situation could not be any better for Solana. We're seeing an NFT boom. So we've been talking about NFTs and whether NFTs can actually fix your portfolio. Now we're seeing like an NFT explosion. But the NFT explosion is actually not happening on ETH. It's happening on Solana. Why? Because the man in the street, the common man, can afford the gas on Solana. And if you look at the hottest Solana projects, which I'm going to do a show about, most of these new projects that are coming out are actually NFT projects that are being built on Solana. So that's the first reason why Solana is having such an amazing recovery. Second reason why Solana is having an amazing recovery is because the Phantom Wallet app, the Phantom Wallet, which is the big Solana wallet, is actually now available on the iOS store. So there it is. It's available. The iOS app is actually available, which now brings the Solana wallet to so many different people. There is also an OpenSea integration now into Solana. So you can see that there's an OpenSea integration now into Solana. So that's another reason why Solana is starting to run. There's another reason why Solana is starting to run. And it's a reason that I've spoken to you guys about. I've said this a lot in the past. If you want to make money in an ecosystem, you go and look to see where the tokens of the ecosystem are listed. So I'm going to show you a very simple trick of how you can look to see if there's free alpha. You go to CoinGecko, you click on categories, and inside categories, you search Solana Ecosystem, and you click on Solana Ecosystem, and then you look at all the small coins on Solana, the ones that are actually native, which are built on Solana. And you click on those, example Radium, and then you click on markets. And that shows you which exchanges these tokens are listed on. Now, what you'll find with most of these tokens is that most of the Solana tokens haven't been listed on Coinbase until yesterday. Because yesterday, Coinbase listed 2 Solana tokens. They listed Bonfida and Orca. So welcome to Coinbase, Bonfida, and Orca. So excited for Coinbase to be extending support to the Solana ecosystem. So what you see now is that Coinbase is starting to gear up to list Solana tokens. So now a very simple way for you to try and work out how to make money next is go and look and see if Coinbase has listed any Avalanche related tokens. If not, then go there and buy Trader Joe, go buy Banky, go and buy all the Trader Joe token, all the Avalanche tokens. Go and look at the Solana ecosystem and look for the ones that have high user adoption, high trade volumes, and are not yet listed on Coinbase. Because chances are, now that Solana has listed that Coinbase has listed 2 Solana-based tokens, well, chances are they're going to continue to list Solana listed tokens. So that is why Solana has recovered. Let's see what else has recovered. Another reason why Solana has recovered actually is because of the developer numbers. So this is quite a trick. There's this tweet here that says the fastest growing L1 ecosystems in terms of developers. As I always say, follow the developers and the money will come. And what you can see is that the fastest growing developer ecosystems are Solana. So the fastest growing ones are Terra and Solana. But don't be fooled by the fastest growing, because the tweet is actually misleading because it talks about the fastest growing. Look at the number of full-time developers as at December 2021. Look at the full-time developers developing, excuse me. Look at the full-time developers developing on the various ecosystems. That will show you where you can get value. So you look at Terra, there's 33 full-time developers. You look at Solana, there's 228 full-time developers. Look at Near Protocol. We don't talk about Near Protocol enough. 137 full-time developers. Phantom, 26 full-time developers. Kusama, 110 full-time developers. Remember, developers bring in the venture capitalists bring in the money brings in the dApps bring in the users bring in the transactions and the total value locked, and that ultimately drives up the price. So you take a look at this and you say, Solana has 228 full-time developers. Probably it was overdue for a run. Phantom, 26, even though it's fast growing, it does have 26 developers, which doesn't compete with any of the real big boys out here. Luna, 33. Is Fred messing around with my Twitter account?
I think he hacked you.
Is Fred on my Twitter? Is Fred on my Twitter account?
Seems so.
I mean,
Just like that.
during the show, he does it during the show. Instead of focusing on getting the tweet up, he does this during the show.
Well played, brother. Well played.
Okay. I think the best thing is we should all unfollow Fred. So go to producer Fred. If you are following producer Fred, just unfollow him. Let's get the numbers down from 95.3. Let's get the numbers down. Let's quickly get the numbers down. If 7,000, if you could unfollow him just for like a couple of hours, let's make him sweat a little bit. Anyway, we're speaking about Luna. Whose side are you on, bro?
I think it's hilarious, bro. I've eaten fish and shaved my head. Like, that's great. Like, well done, Fred.
Oh man. Okay, let's look at the Luna. Did you guys see the Luna announcement? The Luna, where is it? Here we go. So remember, Luna's got 3 announcements. There is a community funding proposal to fund what looks like a sports partnership. It looks like a sports partnership here, right? And the proposal requesting 38 million to fund a redacted franchise of sport somewhere in the States, because it's something to do with NFL, NHL, NBS. They won't say what it is. And it sounds like sponsoring a sports club. It sounds like it's sponsoring a sports club. And I don't know if this is really big news, because I haven't yet seen a sponsorship that has driven adoption. I mean, I love the idea. FTX Arena, Crypto.com Stadium in Los Angeles, Staples Center, eToro sponsored sports teams, Phantom has sponsored Formula One. But I don't know. Do you think it's going to get adoption?
Do you think they will allow like UST as payments or something? Something like that will make a lot of great. They'll be fantastic.
No, I think where it becomes fun is when they say the only way to buy a ticket is using UST. Or something like if you buy your ticket using UST, it becomes a half-price ticket. Or then it becomes like fun. Then it becomes like we're creating adoption. But I mean, I don't know if I guess I like UST being on players' shirts and that kind of thing, on those kind of things. But I mean, I've yet to see these things turn into actual adoption, like real adoption. Love the awareness, love Luna. Big fan of Luna. Let's actually speak about Luna. How's the Luna chart going? Yesterday when we spoke about it,
Have a look now. Just before I went there, like I was looking at this chart. Like, do you know anything? Render's up 112, but it was a lot more, but 112% from the bottom. Like Render is one that's really been reacting well since the drop.
We've been telling the community about Render for a long time.
Yeah. I just wonder why it's doing such beautiful things now. So that's looking good. You know what you're saying with Luna, like maybe it's the start, Ran. Maybe it's the start of something, you know what I mean, that can really be. So Luna is back in trend. So that's one thing I do like. Let me just make this bigger again. There we go. So I do like that it's back in trend. We spoke about the really important 618 on the weekly. And, you know, it's looking really good. And what I like about it is if Bitcoin breaks that resistance trend that we're looking at, you know, Luna's going to be one of those that are, you know, that really hits a strong bounce quite quickly. You know, I think it can get to $65, $70 quite quick. And then it'll be at resistance and we'll see how we go there. But, you know, Luna's reacting well at these levels. It's broken back into trend. It's bounced on golden zone. And my favorite thing about Luna is we're patient for it. But, you know, the weekly stochastic has bottomed out at the bottom. which is a really, really good sign. It's still just indicating that even though it's getting these big pullbacks, Luna's in a massive uptrend, and it has strong legs up, legs down, but it is clearly in a very strong upwards momentum. And this is a really good sign for me, as well as the really strong bullish divergence that's playing out as well.
Amazing. Well, let's see. I wonder what the sports club is. I mean, one of the speculations is it's the Dallas Mavericks. Mark Cuban is a Terra investor. He's also an investor with Coinpanel on the Seashell app that will offer US citizens 10% on deposits. It kind of all lines up. Although Mark Cuban likes Dogecoin. So, I don't think it's the Dallas Mavericks. Who do you think it is? Let us know in the comments who you guys actually think it is. I'm dying to know who you guys think it is. Yeah, let's look at that. There is something that we should be worried about. So should we worry about it? I don't know. But in 2017, there was a massive hack. 2016, there was a massive hack at Bitfinex. Now, at the time, the hack was about 20,000, more than 20,000 Bitcoin, which at the time wasn't as much money as it is today. Remember, at the time, Bitcoin was at like $2,000. But today, those funds have started moving. So 10,000 Bitcoin of the stolen funds transferred from the Bitfinex hack in 2016 were transferred to an unknown wallet. And they're moving them through these unknown wallets so that they cannot be traced, a non-KYC'd wallet. Now, the concern is that the last time that we had this money from the Bitfinex hack move was at the top, was at the 64K top. So, and it sold the market all the way down. So it's possibly worth keeping your eyes on this. I think what we should try and do is maybe get the addresses so that you guys can watch these addresses. This guy says, am I the only one around here who uses a sample size larger than 2? It's only happened twice. So it's only actually happened twice. So the sample size, dude, is only 2. But there is, we should watch these coins. These coins are coins from the hack. And you got to try and think to yourself, how would they sell these coins? Because you need, effectively, these are stolen coins, and you need to find a non-KYC. So probably sell them, using ThorChain or ThorSwap or something along those lines, and try and get those coins in. Alrighty. Tomorrow, I do want to spend some time talking about LooksRare. I don't think we should do it today, but I think we should talk about LooksRare. LooksRare is this OpenSea competitor which has a token. It's more decentralized and it has a token, and it's actually starting to do more volume than OpenSea. And today you can buy this token. Be careful, the token is trading at $5.22, which has a fully diluted market cap of $5 billion. That's quite a high valuation, so be careful before you buy it. But it's good to know that you can invest in an OpenSea competitor, which is actually getting some kind of volume, although there has been some speculation that this volume is actually wash trading. So that's what we're investigating. What we will do is we will publish an article right here on cryptobanter.com discussing whether or not LooksRare is a real competitor. We'll publish that article here on cryptobanter.com sometime today. What else? So yes, we'll spend some time looking at LooksRare tomorrow. Let me just see if Fred still has followers on Twitter. Yeah, he still has 95.3 thousand followers on Twitter. I'm unfollowing him. Terrible. Yeah, I've unfollowed Fred. No, I can't unfollow him. I always feel bad when the guy says follows you and then you unfollow him. It's almost like you know, it's an insult. Okay, yeah, that's pretty much it for today. Is there anything else that you want to talk about today? LooksRare we'll look at tomorrow. Remember to look out for the article. The article will come out on the website first. Let's quickly look at the website one more time and see if Fred has updated this thing. Let's just see if he has. I don't think he has. He said do a Command R, which I just did. Press it. I've done that. Look at the tweet of the day. I still don't see the funny BitBoy tweet. We see it. We see that. We see the funny BitBoy tweet, which is that. No, but the funny part is when the dude responds, and then you see the clown. That's the funny part. No, someone must. No, we must put. The funny part is when we see the clown. That's the one that's funny. Anyway, I'm just unfollow Fred. Just unfollow Fred. Anyway, unfollow him. In fact, yeah, you know what I'm going to do. I know what I'm going to do. Yeah, I'm gonna unfollow him. I'm going to block him. He's blocked. Producer Fred is blocked. Alrighty, tomorrow, we are going to do a double ByBit giveaway. So that means, because a lot of people are complaining that they haven't had time to open a ByBit account. I get it, nonsense, garbage. You've had enough time. Go and open a ByBit account. Tomorrow I'll do a double giveaway. We'll give away $2,000 to anyone that opens a ByBit account, funds the account. Just go to the link. It's such a simple thing to do. You just go to, here, I'll show you. I'll actually do it for you. So just to show you how easy it is. You go to YouTube. It's so simple. You go to YouTube. You go Crypto Banter. Okay. And then you click on, in fact, you can actually just click on that video, Banter. You click on the video, and then you go here, see here, and you open an account.
We need the screen.
Oh, you need my screen. Okay, so it's so simple. You go here, you click on the video, you go to the bottom, you go here to where it says ByBit, you click here, and then you open an account. And then tomorrow you fund the account, even if you put $1 into it, just put $1 into it. And tomorrow I draw people from a random list, and then you get 2,000 BitDAO tokens. So simple. So simple. Really simple. I'll see you guys again tomorrow. Let's hope this pump continues until then. Any news? Has it broken?
Come on, Bitcoin! Not yet, brother, but I want to shave by tomorrow, and I have faith that it will happen. So come on, Bitcoin, just break that down.
Sheldon, what do you say that tomorrow we do like one of our Degen altcoin shows together?
I agree. I agree. And Bitcoin better do its job and break this damn trend line.
So if Bitcoin breaks the trend line today, tomorrow we do a Degen show together.
Sounds fantastic, brother. Sounds fantastic.
See you again tomorrow, bro.
Cheers, brother.
Trade well, friends. Fred hijacked my Twitter.
And now you blocked him, but he can just log in and unblock himself.
I think he's already done that, actually. I think he's actually